Hi, this is David Odell with Odell Complete Concrete. Here's the existing little fire pit patio. You can see the gas line sticking up there. This was the fire pit itself that they had modified from, looked like a fountain possibly before. And that was set over the top of that gas line. It had a normal shut-off valve at the base. They drilled a hole through the side of that fountain. We just brick set in sand, and now what we're going to do is we're going to put concrete in here, and we're going to stamp it with some Royal Ashler pattern. It's going in about the same size. It might be about 6 inches bigger. That's about it. So I took that little bucket, see that plastic 5-gallon bucket, I cut that down in half, and then I just slid that over the gas line and the gas shutoff valve, because I don't want concrete in that area. That way I can still access the gas fittings and stuff that are in there. And then I can just slide that bucket up and over the top as the concrete gets hard. Then I'll have a nice little circle there, and the fountain will sit over that and it'll cover that hole. This sand will make a nice base for the concrete, so it'll cure out real evenly. And that's important when you're doing color concrete. Not as important with the coloring technique I'm going to be using, because I'm doing the throw-on color hardener on this one, and it's going to be whatever color I throw on there. It's also a 5500 psi color hardener, so it stays real true to its color. Here's your red chalk line going around the outside edge. Red seems to work the best. It doesn't wash off, and it's easy to see. Really hard to snap in these tight radiuses though. So that's how you do it. You work around the radius with your line. Just snap it in little sections at a time so you can get around the entire radius. Or you can use a level and a pencil and just go around it that way as well. We're going to hand mix this out in the front, and then we're going to wheel it back here. We're going to use a 4500 psi bag mix. We're going to throw some 3/8 rebar in here as well on about 18-inch centers. And then as we mix the concrete up out in front, we'll throw in like a handful of fiber mesh for every 5 60-pound bags. That's about what my mixer will do, is about 5 60-pounders at a time, which is about one wheelbarrow. Now these little sandbags I found laying around the yard work great for wheeling the concrete over the form. So as I'm pouring it out, I'm lifting the rebar up as I go. That way I know exactly where the rebar is in the concrete. It's not too high and it's not too low, but it's exactly where I want it. Here's the color hardener, which is a silver gray that I'm going to be using here. And then for my secondary color, just before I stamp, I'm going to use a medium gray, which is just a little darker than this gray here that I'm throwing on. Now this is the same technique you'd use on a larger job as well. If you don't have a lot of access, you want to throw your color as you come out. That way, because you can only throw it so far, So even on a large job, you probably want to go out about 10-15 feet, throw your color, and then go another 15, throw your color. And then by the time you get done poured out, you can go back with some walking tools and work the color in. That'd be about right amount of time for the bleed water to come up into this color hardener, and then you can hit it. In some situations you won't get bleed water because maybe the dry climate and what have you, but you can dash it with some water from a bucket, or just mist it with the spray hose with a little water, and you can work in your color hardener that way as well. But this particular climate here, we get some pretty nice bleed water, so you don't have to add surface water at all. Usually takes 2 coats of the color hardener to get a nice uniform coloring to it, but you can do it. You can streak it and do different colors on your color hardener to get different effects. So this one side of the form, as you can see, a little bit raised above the grass, so we'll have to strip and face that and add color hardener to that side also, because that's going to be definitely visual. So we'll strip it, color hardener it up, and stamp it. And then also what I'll do is I'll continue the joints down the face of this, matching the pattern on the surface. So here we are. I'm just adding the color hardener to the sides. I've already mixed some in a bucket with water, and then I can just trowel it on. Similar to doing some stucco work or icing on a cake, you just get it on there. Now that I've got the color hardener on, I can go ahead and run my top tool, which I have a narrow one. It's 1/2 inch radius that'll fit over the top of this, and it'll pretty much catch the whole side of it at the same time. Now we're just gonna go out along the wall itself, just to really get in those nooks and crannies of this split face block. There's a lot of little nooks and crannies in there that you have to really work in your color to, and try to get the low spots out. And then what we'll do is use a texture mat just along the wall, because these mats won't hit right up against the wall, especially since it's on a radius and we have square mats. So we'll texture the wall, we'll bring these other mats as close as we can get, and then we'll just chisel in all the way to the wall, continuing the pattern. I have a roller joiner here. I just rolled down the joints off of the top. I just continue the pattern right down the face. This way, from the side point, when this is all done, it'll actually look like separate tiles or stones were set, because it continues the pattern down the face. Now we're here getting ready for the rinse on the next day. Actually, I waited a little bit longer for the rinse. I think it's been a few days, but in any case, what we do first was we sweep the powder up, capture it, and then dispose of it. That way we have minimal mess in the lawn and surrounding area. Now I had to modify this fountain fire pit, because our concrete's a little higher, so that changed the hole where the actual on and off valve was for the gas. So I had to cut the bottom out basically. But what I'm going to do is save that. What did I do? I didn't save the piece. I ended up just patching the bottom of the fountain fire pit, also barbecue. Now some of the fountain was cracked at the bottom of the base. As soon as you start moving things that are this old, things start to happen. And what happened here was it started coming apart. So I just mixed up some quickcrete mortar repair, and that stuff's really great. I really like how it works. It's sticky, and it seems like it's got good strength. So that's what I use now, is the quickcrete mortar repair. Now this is what it looks like when you put this thing back on, and it's kind of got a little grate too that fits there in the top. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna wait about another 2 weeks, and then we're gonna come back to this job, and then we're going to move the benches, and we're going to go ahead and seal this with some wet look lacquer base. And here's kind of your close-up on it. Now what we're doing here is we're getting ready to seal. This is 2 weeks later. I'm using the blower here in the corners because I noticed there was a little water moisture, probably from the overspray from the top planter there. Water coming down, or maybe even coming through the block a little bit. So that kept the concrete wet in those back corners. So I hit it for like 30 minutes with the blower just to try to get the moisture out. Now here's the type of sealer that I'm using. This is a new sealer for me. And this is available at, I believe it's available a lot of places, but online it's called Ghost Shield, the company. And this is just a sampler I got from them. So I did some samples with this stuff because I've never used it. I did some samples at home in about 4 or 5 different application methods. Really nothing. I tried the methods that suggest on the bucket, but it doesn't really go good with what I'm trying to do. So I mean, it shows like you want to brush it. Brushing it on there works great, and you don't get any air bubbles in it. But you can't really brush 1,000 square feet, so I had to come up with a different solution, for future project. This project, yeah, I probably could have brushed it. That would have been great. But for future projects, 1,000 square feet or more, you're going to want to do this other technique that I found works really nice. I just got some thinned the product out, and then I put it in a regular garden sprayer and sprayed it. Or you can even roll it too, and there's no air bubbles. Everything comes right out really quickly, and it seems really good. I do my other sealers that I've used in the past as well. It's probably for the same reason, but I can't remember. I've been doing it so long. But whenever I get a new product, I have to test it out in a bunch of different application methods. And this one right here, you dilute it 1 to 3 with some thinner, and it works great. If you go 100%, you're probably going to get air bubbles. Now here's some areas here in the 2 weeks that we were gone. Some kind of a white spots appeared. So what I've done here is I've taken my powder release and I mixed it with some acetone, and then I just brushed it on in a couple spots, and then I'm just going to throw the sealer on top, and that works really nice for touch-ups. You'll never even see them. Now when you're using these lacquer bases and you're using thinners and things like that, these little garden sprayers, since they're rubber hoses and stuff, they only hold up for about an hour, so you gotta use your sealer up quickly, dispose of the because it's a one-time use basically. If it hangs around with that sealer in this bucket under pressure, that hose is gonna blow and you're gonna have a real big mess. So you want to get rid of your sprayer within an hour, and then if you're going to be sealing longer than that, then you just want to have more sprayers and just keep throwing them away. They're $10 each. It doesn't matter what type of sprayer you get. You can get the $200 sprayers, and they all have rubber in them. They're all going to fail. So I get the $10 ones, and I just make disposables out of them. Now any excess in my sprayer, I'll spray it right back into the sealer, and then I'll keep diluting for every job. I'm going to get a lot more use out of that sealer. It's going to go a lot further. That's going to hold up just as well. Also, I didn't tell you about the grip stuff it came with. You can broadcast that and seal over it, or you can mix it in and spray it. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. If you like these kind of videos, subscribe and hit the bell button to get the latest and greatest as we release them. Have a good day.